You begin on integration right at the beginning. Louise Casey did a review for Theresa May in something like 2015, and she made several very, very important recommendations about integration at grassroots level, about looking at what was really going on in the Rochdales, the Bradfords, the other towns where we have had large numbers of migrants who really have not prospered in recent years, where there are divisions. And she made recommendations and none of them have been implemented.
Well, that was the Prime Minister. He's turned to walk back into Downing Street. He hasn't taken any questions. A very unusual situation to do a lengthy statement like that and for it not to be a press conference. Some pretty incendiary claims there, talking about the multi-ethnic, multi-faith democracy being under threat, the streets hijacked by a small group. He spoke of intimidation and threats and planned acts of violence. He said MPs don't feel safe. And he talked, obviously, this was precipitated by the election of George Galloway in Rochdale. A clear sort of hint there that there might be further action brought in to curb some of the protests. He talked about a chance to show you can protest decently, talking about the people going on marches about Gaza. He said, don't let the extremists hijack the marches. Let's have a brief word from both our panellists, Hilary Armstrong and James Bethell. James, you first. We don't have long, but your reaction to that quite extraordinary statement.
I felt it was very powerful. You're right. There was a lot in there, and he did tilt very directly at some of the issues. I have to admit that as a parliamentarian, I don't feel safe. Coming to and from Parliament over the last few weeks has been quite a frightening experience at times. And of course, some MPs have been killed by people on the right and as well. So I think this is a welcome statement, frankly, for parliamentarians and a reassurance that he sees the kind of issues of integration that Hilary mentioned earlier, and I think she was quite right about that.
But wasn't it electioneering, though, really? You know, it was trying to sort of shore up support from his own right wing, who have been talking about extremists and, you know, Islamists capturing the London mayor and so on. It was very nakedly political, wasn't it?
I didn't feel that. Listen, you can always put that filter on anything if you like. We've got the Foreign Secretary's statement today, in which he has, quite rightly, I think, pointed out his severe concerns about what's happening in Gaza and recognised that the whole world is looking at the problem there. So we have a heightened state of anxiety about how that situation is playing out. And we've just had the Rochdale by-election, which has turned out extremely badly for democracy. And Hillary's under no illusions about what kind of guy George Galloway is. I'm certainly not either. So this is a very real situation that he faces, and I think he's lent into it directly.
Hilary Armstrong, your response?
There's not much in the Prime Minister's statement I disagreed with, but what I would say is you do not start just with tackling people who already feel that things have gone too far. You begin on integration right at the beginning. Louise Casey did a review for Theresa May in something like 2015, and she made several very, very important recommendations about integration at grassroots level, about looking at what was really going on in the Rochdales, the Bradfords, the other towns where we have had large numbers of migrants who really have not prospered in recent years, where there are divisions. And she made recommendations and none of them have been implemented.
Well,